Welcome back. I cannot express how excited I am this morning to get out and make some more images. If you've been around for a while, you might be aware that I was posting a photography related video once a week for the last year. But recently I've changed that just because I need to focus on some other things, which has been really good in terms of my thesis. I've been very productive. But I haven't been out taking pictures in 3 weeks, which is way too long, and I've missed it. So even if I don't get any good pictures today, I'm just happy to be out with my camera, walking around somewhere new, and just experiencing what's around and trying to take some images if I can. I'm not super familiar with this area. I've never been here before, and the weather is being a little bit unpredictable at the moment. When I checked the weather last night, it was calling for like nice bright sunny morning with some scattered clouds, and that's not the case. I left the house this morning shortly after sunrise because as I'm headed into the woods, I don't see a reason to be in the woods during sunrise. You can't see the sunrise anyway, so it's better to wait for some light to come up. Anyway, so I waited a bit, left the house, and it was nice and sunny. There was some patchy light as I was driving here, which was great. But then there was also a snowstorm on the same drive in the hour it took me to get here. And now, as you can see, no snow, but also no sun. So there is a little bit of frost on most of the vegetation. So that's promising. Could be some nice images, as well as, I think once I go around this loop, sorry, I'm out of breath. As I go around this loop, most of it's in the woods, but I think there'll be a section where I kind of come out into a clearing and look over the river, so that'll be nice as well. So there's some good options for photography. A cool thing about this trail that I'm at is it's part of the Nature Conservancy of New Brunswick. So it's land that was donated to the conservation agency or the NGO, and now it's protected and conserved. So the forest is just allowed to run wild and do what it's supposed to. I would imagine this land was harvested or used for something else in the past. So now it's sort of like a regenerative forest, which is really nice to see because we've lost a lot of our old woodlands around here. So it's nice to see that some are being allowed to just grow up again. More people and corporations that have a ridiculous amount of land should definitely just donate it to conservation agencies, because it'll be super beneficial going forwards, and we only have so much natural area and we've already lost so much of it, so we all need to do what we can to conserve it. Sorry. I'm just laughing because I've never been on this specific trail before, and some of the reviews I read was that it's very poorly marked and overgrown. Okay, sure, in the summer or spring, it could be overgrown, but poorly marked? Look at this. How many yellow signs do you see from here? It might not come across well on the camera, but there's one right here, and then one even behind it. So without moving, I can see 3 trail markers. So, oh, and there's one behind me. It's pretty well marked. This forest would be super pretty in the fall or the nice fresh coating of snow. But right now, this time of winter, it's still the dead of winter. It's just early January, but without snow covering the trees and sunlight and leaves, everything just looks messy. And there's so much going on that images in these kinds of dense woodlands, without a very clear subject, just easily get muddled. And wow, that was impressive branch dodging. Yeah, I feel like just images oftentimes get, they lose their meaning in forests like this. One more thing about my video posting schedule. There is no more schedule. So I can't do one video a week anymore. It's just not realistic right now with everything else I have going on. I loved doing it. and maybe I'll get back to it someday. But just at the moment, I'm just gonna take pictures at every opportunity I can and slowly work on videos and publish them as I have them finished. I'm not gonna make them a priority anymore, just for the time being. I'd really like to get back to that stage, but I just have other things that I need to get done so that I'm not splitting my time in that real life priorities that pay the bills. Obviously are more important at the moment. As I've been walking around here, like, look, you can see all these fun trees behind me. They look really interesting. They have nice green moss on them. Some are straight, some are crooked. And one just caught my attention. I took a little test image on my phone. I think it'll look fairly interesting, and it's the first thing that's caught my attention specifically this morning, and I want to take an image, so I'm gonna try my best. I don't want to use a tripod, so it's just gonna be handheld. More efficient that way, you know? And if I don't like the image, then I won't feel as bad about it. What I like about this scene is there's one tree in front of me that has a bit like of an S to it, well, a backwards S, I suppose. And then behind it, there's two trees, same types of trees. They're a little bit more straight. They have the same colors, and they have sort of the yellowy green moss as well. So landscape orientation, I'm trying to frame it up so that this interesting tree in front of me, dead center of the frame, you can see the different mosses, and then with a lower aperture, I'm trying to blur the background just a little bit, but only so much that it's not sharp, but that you can still see the two trees on the outside, and that they kind of complement nicely with the subject, the main tree. And shooting at an 80th of a second, f8, ISO 250, gives me the right exposure, gives me the right depth of field that I'm looking for. And one thing that I found was kind of important was on the right-hand side of the subject tree, there's a little piece of moss that sort of overhangs and creates a little bit of a lip. And that wasn't sort of bumping into a little tree in the background. So I tried to compose that so that was separated nicely and that it was more on clean white snow in the background instead of a branch. And for the first image of the day, it's nice. Forests are so cool. Like right there where I just was like 10 seconds ago, totally deciduous trees, just barren because of winter. Look at this. Now I'm in a coniferous forest and it's full of green needles, which makes perfect sense. But it's just so interesting how forests kind of vary in such a small area. And I don't know where I am anymore. Oh. Maybe I'm not supposed to be in the coniferous forest. I shall continue. I'm looking forward to coming out on the river. I'm expecting a nice view, but I will tame my expectations in case it's not what I'm expecting. I'm just bumming through the woods and, oops, you're never going to be able to see, but I'll get a different camera out in a second. There's an eagle on the tree right over there. So I'm going to stay in the bushes for a minute. Get my camera switched around, put a long lens on, do just like 10 feet of trespassing onto some private property. Oh, you're kidding. It just flew away. It wasn't me though, because it can't see me. I'm still gonna go poke my head out. Well, that's a little disappointing. The eagle was in the absolutely perfect spot. It was framed up perfectly with some ice in the background, but he's gone. I just looked around, some of the surrounding trees out there, and I didn't see it, so I'm gonna continue on my ways. I think it flew off in the direction I'm headed, so maybe I'll get another chance to give them. For better or worse, recently I've realized that, at least at this instance, I'm more of an opportunistic wildlife photographer, because I love wildlife photography. It's great. I love doing it, and I love capturing images of wildlife. But it takes a lot of time, because you might just go lay outside in the snow for 12 hours and see nothing. You might not be rewarded with any wildlife encounters, which is great if you have the ability to do that every day. I don't, unfortunately, so I try and capitalize on every opportunity I get. So even like today, where wildlife photography isn't my main goal, I'm always ready. In a way, today I was too slow because I didn't have my camera set up for it, but there's always the next time. Well, this isn't a bad view, but it is not what I was expecting or hoping for. I think, oh, I see the eagle flying. I wonder if he's gonna go land back on his tree. He's way over there. Oh, there's two of them. So, this view, spectacular. There's some really cool noises from the ice moving and cracking. The only thing I can think of from here that could be an interesting enough picture might be some textures in the ice. So, I may as well give it a shot. I'm here. And then I think on my way out, this trail's a loop, but I'm not far from where I saw the eagles, and I think they may have just re-landed. So I'm gonna try and get a picture of this ice, because there's some really cool patterns and textures right here. Then I think it'll be time to go back towards the eagles and then finish the loop of the trail, because I think the other half's more marshy, so there's even more photographic opportunities there. So I think I need a little bit of a longer lens to get an image on the ice. I don't need my super telephoto to zoom. I think we're gonna put it on anyways, just so that if I head back down and the eagles are indeed on their tree, I don't have to worry about switching anything over, and I'll be good to go in case I scare them away again. Though I'm not convinced I scared them away. I was quite far, and they couldn't see me, so, oh, well, who am I to say what the eagles could see? I know that a lot of photographers say not to take pictures just to take pictures, or at least like people on YouTube, they don't want to always feel the need to capture images when they come out. I see what they mean, but I'm not in total agreement. Like, I've come this far. If I see anything at all that piques my interest, even in this moment, if I don't think it'll be the best image ever, I'm still going to capture it. I'm here. I made the effort to be here. And sometimes you get home, you look at an image, and you're like, wow, that really did work well. So why make the effort and come out? If you see anything, just take an image of it. Like, these patterns are really, really pretty, and sometimes you can surprise yourself. So I found a particular set that kind of looks like wavy motions. I think they're quite nice, and I'm trying to frame it up as best I can and just holding down the shutter, and they are quite sharp. And I think these images are pretty interesting, and when I crop them and maybe zoom in a little bit more, they'll be quite nice. I think the contrast of the snow-covered ice and then the darker ice underneath is nice, and then on top of it, the snow is quite textured right now. It's snowing a little bit, and it's almost like silt, so it's like, it looks fake, like it looks like powdered snow. So it gives a nice texture to it. So again, not the best images I've ever taken, but for being here, I think they're quite nice. And now there's some cool birds out there and I don't know what they are. Where'd they go? They're just crows. It's starting to snow again, for real now, and I'm off to find the eagles. Crazy how dark it just got in here. Hopefully it won't look too dark on the camera, but the snow rolled in, and even though there wasn't much light to begin with through the clouds, basically just blacked out the sky. And yeah, I'm gonna stop moving. Just let me know if you can hear the silt hitting the trees. It's a really nice noise. I just hope it stays as silt and does not turn to freezing rain because, sorry, not silt, sleet. If I've said silt at all, it's not, it's sleet. Silt is a type of sediment. Yeah, hopefully the drive home is not too bad, but I think it'll be fine. They weren't really calling for much bad weather today. I was really hoping the eagle or eagles would be back in this clearing, but they don't seem to be here. I'm gonna walk out a little farther, look around more, and if they're not here, I'll wait a bit longer. But unfortunately, I can't wait here all day. Found the eagles. There's actually like 7 or 8 of them, and they're insanely far away. They're all out on a patch of ice. Man, the light right now is really cool too. You can't pass up an opportunity like this. It's just too nice. Look at that view. Oh my goodness. A whole bunch more birds, even just seagulls, and I think another eagle just showed up. And the ice has started making a lot more like cracking noises, and I was wondering what was causing it. And although this is a river, we're really close to the Bay of Fundy, so it's a tidal portion of the river. So I bet the tide just changed, or sometime recently the tide has changed, which put the eagles out on the ice so that they could get anything that was kind of coming up with the tide. It would also explain why the ice is making more noise as well. So I'm going to check the tide charts. So the tide just switched. It's not high tide, it's not low tide, it's right in the middle right now, which means that the water has just started coming back in. There's a lot more birds around now. There's all kinds of crows and seagulls. I'm hoping that they might spook the eagles into moving, but that might not happen. This footage is no doubt going to be pretty boring. But maybe there's just enough movement with the eagles to make it somewhat interesting, but you really can't pass up the opportunity to A, collect cool footage, and B, just be out experiencing it. I wish I had my binoculars though. That's one small oversight. I'm actually taking a landscape image now, and it's quite nice because a lot of bright light is shining in from the left-hand side of the frame. There's a dark, silhouetted, contrasty island, textures all across the water, and then another little peninsula sticking out in the background, and it looks quite nice as well. Back to the trail. See what else this awesome place has to offer. So that last set of images, sort of out into the bay with the island, I used the same settings as I did to capture the picture of the eagles. which I don't know if I'm happy with it. I did it purposefully, but I'm not sure if it was the right choice. I still had my super long telephoto lens on, so I wanted to have a fairly fast shutter speed because it's a big lens. It weighs a lot. I was on sort of some squishy snow, and it's very, very windy. So I wanted to have a fast shutter speed. And in order to do that with that lens, I had to crank up the ISO to, I think, like 1600, which I really don't mind doing. Like, ISO doesn't scare me. If it's exposed properly, and then with a little bit of denoising in Lightroom, like the files won't be noisy. So I'm fairly happy with my decision. The alternative option would be I could have put on a slightly smaller lens that covers a very similar focal length, but the light was changing pretty quickly, and I really liked the scene. So to me, it's more important to capture the image how I want it, with any settings necessary, because unless you're really pixel peeping, which you can't do on social media anyway, it won't be an issue. Plus, I've printed out images before with much higher ISOs and no issues in that regard. So I'm fairly confident in my decision, but I guess I won't know for sure until I put it all together at home. That's a pretty cool tree. I'm pretty much back at the car now. Not much else really stood out to me in terms of photography on this side of the trail. It'd be gorgeous in the spring though. It's more marshy and wetland type. But a lot of the reviews I read online about this trail were pretty negative. A couple were okay, but that's not the case at all. This place is absolutely gorgeous. It's called Blueberry Hill. Would recommend this trail to anyone. Not that anyone who watches this is from New Brunswick, but it's a great spot. I'm super happy with a couple of the images I got today, and really I hope it just motivates people to just take images. Whether they're good, they're bad, every image is a learning experience, and I had a blast doing it this morning. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please let me know what your favorite image was. Till next time, which won't be next week, but will be whenever I have a chance to edit another video. See you then.